In the shadows of gospel music's grand stage lies a story woven with faith, struggle, and unyielding determination. Who were the Clark sisters, and what drove them to become the pioneers of a genre that has touched millions? As the first ladies of gospel music, they transformed the genre, but their journey was anything but smooth. Secrets, struggles, and triumphs shaped their path, leading them to become icons. What challenges did they face, and how did their unwavering bond help them overcome the odds? The truth behind their rise is gripping and inspiring, a tale waiting to be uncovered. Join us as we delve into the untold story of the Clark sisters, a musical discovery. The Clark sisters were a sibling group born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, to gospel choir director and musician Dr. Mattie Moss Clark. Her first marriage was in 1945 to Leo H. Cullum, Sr. The union produced 2 children, Leo, Jr., and Jacqueline, Jackie. Eventually, the marriage came to an end. She met and later married Pastor Elbert Clark in 1952. That was how the rest of the members of the dynamic music group were created: Denise, Elbernita, Twinkie, Dorinda, and Karen. They each began singing early in the choir at their father's Church of God in Christ. By the late 1960s, they all performed together in church services, usually singing songs written and arranged by their mother. Shortly after the Clarks' divorce in 1973, Dr. Clark saw something worth dedicating time and attention to in the sisters. She created the Clark Sisters, and they recorded their first album, Jesus Has a Lot to Give, on their uncle, their mother's younger brother, Bill Moss's local label, Bill S. Records. The first television appearance of the Clark sisters was on TV Gospel Time. Although the sisters showed much promise, their big break didn't happen immediately. The following year, the album Dr. Mattie Moss Clark Presents the Clark Sisters was released, and people around Detroit began to notice the group. The Clark sisters signed to Sound of Gospel Records in 1974. With backing from this label, the group could release albums such as Unworthy, Count It All Joy, and He Gave Me Nothing to Lose. All of these hit the top 20 on the Billboard Spiritual LPs chart. This was no mean feat for a new group in the gospel music scene. When it was clear that the sisters would have a long career ahead of them, Dr. Clark turned over control of the group to Twinkie. She is famous for spearheading most of the production process. After their mother relinquished control, Twinkie continued to write, arrange, conduct, and produce all of the Clark sisters' recordings. Their popularity rose with each release, securing their spot on the list of gospel artists to look out for. The release of the live recording is My Living in Vain, 1980, and their debut live recording placed them on the 1981 Billboard Spiritual Albums year-end chart, ranked at number 21. After that, they topped the year-end Spiritual Albums chart of 1982. On every track, the sisters artistically demonstrate their devotion to God and vocally declare that their dedication to Christ is not a useless effort. Many songs on the album would be sampled on songs created over 2 decades later. Karen Clark's lead on Speak Lord expresses deep faith, while the call to worship is raised on Now is the Time. Expect Your Miracle is another hit in African American churches across the country. Their next release in 1981, You Brought the Sunshine, became successful due to its title track. At first listen, one could hear hints of the Stevie Wonder hit song, Master Blaster, Jammin'. The song became a hit in churches and on dance floors nationwide, including New York's Studio 54. You Brought the Sunshine Into My Life was picked up from its original independent gospel record label, Sound of Gospel, and distributed by Westbound Records and Elektra Records. It was their first song to cross over from appealing to a Christian audience to a broader range of listeners. In 1983, the song peaked at number 16 on Billboard Black Singles and number 27 on Dance Club Songs. The album was also a commercial success, peaking at number 9 on the U.S. Top Gospel Albums chart, and also appeared on the 1983 and 1984 year-end charts at number 2 and 25, respectively. Billboard also ranked the Clark sisters as the number 4 Top Gospel Albums Artist of 1982 and number 1 Top Gospel Albums Artist of 1983. The sisters released another album in 1982, Sincerely, which included Name It, Claim It, and the politically charged World. Although You Brought the Sunshine was taking all the shine from the other music they had put out after it, the sisters still got the accolades their artistry deserved. They received their first Grammy Award nomination for Best Soul Gospel Performance by a duo or group for the album at the 26th Annual Grammy Awards. Shortly after winning the Grammy nomination, the Clark sisters won the NAACP Image Award for Best Gospel Group for 1983. After receiving a second Grammy nomination in the Best Soul Gospel Performance by a Duo or Group category for the song He'll Turn Your Scars into Stars, the sisters were invited to perform live on the following 27th Annual Grammy Awards in 1985, alongside their mother, where they performed Hallelujah as part of a medley with the year's fellow gospel nominees. There was nothing else to prove. The Clark sisters were blessed with a gift. Talent was inbuilt, but skill took a lot of work to cultivate, and there was proof that the Clark sisters had put in their fair share of work. Keep watching as we delve into their skill and how they joined hands to build the band. A proof of skill. Early on in the making of their career, Twinkie had creative control. She was the group's chief songwriter, vocal arranger, and producer. The Clark sisters are renowned for a specific sound, occasionally called the Clark sound. If you are a music expert listening to the Clark sisters' discography, you will notice a fancy collection of high and fast melismas, acrobatic trills and riffs, and deep, soulful growls. While they may have seemed to master the art of singing as a group and blending vocals, they still maintain their vocal styles. They also achieved something a couple of female music groups after them failed to do. There is no single lead vocalist in the group. Each sister has led a handful of songs over the years. Twinkie Clark revealed in an interview that they had been heavily inspired by the musical powerhouse Aretha Franklin. She said, "Me and my sisters and I got our riffs and runs from her. The way she did her moans and groans, we'd do the same way. The way she'd improvise and ad-lib, hit high notes, then go all the way down and hit low notes. We listened to all that." When Aretha Franklin died of pancreatic cancer in 2018, the Clark sisters sang one of their signature songs, "Is My Living in Vain?" at her funeral service. In 1986, after a 4-year gap between releases, the sisters Jackie, Twinkie, Dorinda, and Karen continued to release music, signing with Rejoice Records, a division of Word. This new deal was responsible for the Grammy-nominated Heart and Soul, featuring the mainstream single Time Out. This release earned the sisters a Dove Award. It featured the original versions of Jesus is a Love Song, There is a Balm in Gilead, and Pray for the USA, all of which have been re-recorded several times. Around this period, it became public knowledge that a group member was missing. It was alleged that Denise had contributed to the album before her departure, but was later removed. In 1988, the Clark sisters released their Billboard chart-topping and critically acclaimed album, Conqueror. It featured a bolder, more intense sound, with synthesizers, drum machines, and a generally more upbeat outlook. Conqueror quickly became a fan favorite with hits like The Darkest Hour is Just Before the Day, Take Me Higher, For the Love of the People, Computers Rule the World, and the original studio version of Jesus Forevermore. In 1989, the Clark sisters released their live album, Bringing It Back Home, recorded in their hometown of Detroit. It was the last recording from the Clark sisters with the Rejoice record label. It would also be their last album as a group. The album included both previous hits and new material. It also featured guest appearances from Rance Allen and backing choir vocals from the Michigan State Choir under the direction of their mother, Dr. Mattie Moss Clark. In 1994, the Clark sisters now comprised Jackie, Dorinda, and Karen. The trio released their last studio album of the decade, Miracle. This would also be the first album where Twinkie's vocals and songwriting prowess were amiss. It was safe to say that the project might have been a challenge for the sisters. B.B. Winans and Michael J. Powell produced the album, and Dorinda Clark debuted her songwriting on a Clark sisters recording with Work to Do. However, the album did not match the success of previous albums, and some thought it had something to do with the fact that the 5 sisters were now down to 3. Others believed it was due to the Clark sisters not being able to tour and promote the project. That's due to the illness of their mother, Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, who died in September 1994 from diabetes complications. That's due to the illness of their mother, Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, who died in September 1994 from diabetes complications. Going solo. Regardless of their joint achievement, group members cannot stay together forever. Every great music group goes to a point in their careers where each member wants to express more of their individuality. It was the same for the Clark sisters. Twinkie was the first to break out and seek her own. She returned to her minister role while pursuing her solo music career. Earlier, she had released 2 solo albums with the Sound of Gospel record label. The first, titled Praise Belongs to God, celebrated the joy of worship and highlighted the importance of gratitude and faith. This album featured uplifting songs designed to inspire listeners to lift their voices in praise and recognition of God's goodness. Following that, she released Ye Shall Receive Power, which offered a powerful message about the strength and empowerment that comes from faith. This album focused on themes of spiritual growth and the transformative energy that belief can ignite in a person's life. The songs encourage listeners to embrace their faith, reminding them that they can overcome challenges and achieve great things with divine support. Both albums were significant milestones in her career, showcasing her dedication to ministry and music while resonating deeply with her audience. In 1992, she recorded her independent solo album, Comin' Home, and reappeared in 1996 with a pair of albums to her credit: the solo studio release, The Masterpiece for Ben Tankard's Tribute Records label, and the live project, Twinkie Clark Terrell presents the Florida AANDM University Gospel Choir. 4 more albums came through over the years, and in 2015, she collaborated with her nephew, Larry Clark, Denise's son, to create Live and Unplugged. Her latest album, The Generations, was released in 2020. Karen Clark made her solo debut with the album Finally Karen in 1997. The album, featuring the Clark sisters, Faith Evans, and daughter Kiera Sherd, was nominated for a Grammy Award, in addition to winning a Soul Train Lady of Soul Award. She has since released 5 more solo albums: Second Chance, The Heavens Are Telling, It's Not Over, All in One, and Destined to Win. Dorinda released her self-titled debut solo album, Dorinda Clark Cole, in 2002, earning her 2 Stellar Awards and a Soul Train Lady of Soul Award. She has since released 4 more solo albums, Live in Houston and Take It Back, each of which earned her the Female Vocalist of the Year award at the Stellar Awards. She was also nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Gospel Album. Jackie released her first solo project, Expectancy, in 2005. The album features the Clark sisters on the track Blessing Me. In 2014, she released an urban-inspired single, My Season, followed by singles Cover Me and Shout. In February 2020, she released a single, Feel Good, featuring Mary J. Blige and rapper Tia P. It is all the more beautiful that while they gave each other the space to grow and learn individually in their own music spaces, the sisters still collaborated on each other's albums. This further proved to the public that the group had dissolved on a good note, but they would be back together again, and it would be nothing short of a family reunion. A Clark sisters reunion. On just another regular July day in 2006, Jackie, Twinkie, Dorinda, and Karen, the Clark sisters, recorded a live album in Houston, Texas, entitled Live One Last Time. The recording was directed and produced by Donald Lawrence. It was released in April 10, 2007 on EMI Gospel, followed by a CD-DVD special edition release in June 19, 2017. To promote the reunion album, the Clark sisters announced that they would be going on a 25-city concert tour beginning October 4 in Nashville, Tennessee in the same year. The album earned the group a nomination for 2 Grammys in 2008. Live One Last Time won the award for Best Traditional Gospel Album. Its album track Blessed and Highly Favored won the award for Best Gospel Performance. And as a songwriter of Blessed and Highly Favored, Karen Clark Sherd won the individual award for Best Gospel Song. Additionally, at the 5th Annual Grammy Awards ceremony featuring a gospel segment with Aretha Franklin, B.B. Winans, Israel, and New Breed, the Clark sisters performed a snippet of their signature hit, You Brought the Sunshine, when the ceremony was broadcast on February 10 at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. The album has thrown them back into the spotlight, and many of their songs have regained traction. Following this resurgence, Rhino Entertainment released a greatest hits collection, including material from 3 albums recorded for Word Records from the mid-1980s through the early 1990s, including the Grammy-nominated Heart and Soul. The album Encore, The Best of the Clark Sisters, was released on February 12, 2008. In December of that year, TV One's popular hour-long music documentary series Unsung featured the Clark sisters in its 2nd episode. The episode highlighted the group's role in breaking down barriers in gospel music and featured interviews with each sister except Denise Clark Bradford. The story of the Clark sisters does not end here. Of course, there is more. But first, these living legends have been honored and given their flowers differently over the years. When Lifetime publicly announced the project meant to honor these leading women, it shook the hearts of their many fans and the box office. Let's find out what this is all about. The Clark Sisters, a Lifetime movie. On March 27, 2019, it was announced that Queen Latifah's Flavor Unit Productions had confirmed the release of the Clark sisters biopic in 2020. The project boasted powerful black women in entertainment, like Queen Latifah, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott, as executive producers for the film. The movie was filmed between January and February 2019 in Toronto, Canada. It was said to have been directed by Christine Swanson. Sylvia L. Jones and Camille Tucker wrote the story. The film portrayed the formation of the gospel group, the Clark sisters, and their mother, Mattie Moss Clark's role throughout their career. The plot follows their journey from their hometown of Detroit to becoming the highest-selling gospel group in music history. Essence magazine published about the movie, mentioning the various parts that might have come as a surprise to the public. It says, "When gospel fans watch the Clark sisters on Saturday, they'll finally see the full story. They'll even hear a few things that'll make them want to jump up and run around the church. They'll see a powerful performance from Anjanue Ellis, who played the heaven out of the late Mattie Moss Clark, the legendary choir director who in essence created the Clark sisters by pushing her daughters, Clark Sheard, Jackie Clark Chisholm, Angela Burchett, Denise Nisi, Clark Bradford, Raven Goodwin, Elbernita, Twinkie Clark, Christina Bell, and Dorinda Clark Cole, Shelia Frazier, to sing. They'll hear Donald Lawrence produced re-recorded versions of the Clark sisters' hits, including their 1981 crossover hit, You Brought the Sunshine, and they'll learn so much more about the sisters' lives, including unplanned pregnancy, attempted taking of one's life, and abusive relationships. It is important to note that the Clark sisters, First Ladies of Gospel, is the first authorized biopic about the group. The producers also disclosed that they had tried to reach out to Denise Clark Bradford, but that did not work out well. In the movie, Kierra Sheard portrayed her real-life mother, Karen Clark Sheard, and disclosed in an interview that she had moments of surprise while shooting the movie, asking herself if all of it happened. She admitted to feeling more respect for the sisters after they finished the film. It was later discovered that the biopic, The Clark Sisters, First Ladies of Gospel, was the most watched film on Lifetime in 4 years, with 2.7 million viewers. That was only the beginning of the film's success. In a review for RogerEbert.com, Nell Minow called Ellis's performance mesmerizing, and the music a gorgeous, spirit-lifting celestial chorus. Joelle Monique of the AV Club rated the film a C+ and wrote in the review, "It feels like a chorus of Clark sisters, each with their interpretation of events, presented in a way that wouldn't offend anyone in the group." Writing for The Root, Panama Jackson stated in a more positive review, "It's both heartwarming and endearing, while not skirting any of the issues that plagued their ultimately triumphant and still ongoing journey: domestic violence, gender inequality in the church, interpersonal issues, medical issues, mental health, life, etc." Panama Jackson's critique leads us to our next phase. The Clark sisters had a stellar reputation. They were a sisterhood brought together to spread the gospel of Christ and share God's love. However, they had their fair share of public controversies. Let's review this. The sisters' controversies. Denise Clark left the Clark sisters in 1986 and had no contact with her sisters till the death of their mother in 1994. According to the Grapevine, Denise was kicked out of the group because a bishop had impregnated her. This happened out of wedlock, and she was asked to get her child aborted. She opted to keep her baby and quit the singing group instead. She said, "Nobody kicked me out. I was tired of the things I was experiencing about having my children. And that coming about, I wasn't going to get rid of my children. I was being counseled to get rid of my children. I'm here to clear up the hearsay." She shared this with talk show host Larry Reed in February 2019, apparently speaking on it for the first time. One wonders how that ostracism took place, and why a group that preached love and togetherness would make a member and sister choose between her baby and her spot in the group. In an online publication, the Clark sisters were said to represent the living God in everything they do. They live to be loving and kind, and their reputation speaks for itself. Their preceding reputation and the case of their estranged sister spoke to different realities. Although unknown to many, Denise Clark Bradford is well and continuing with the ministry. She is a music minister and resides in California with her husband. She is also pursuing a doctorate in one of the universities in California. She never appeared during the 2007 reunion album. She was also not featured in the Lifetime movie created by the Clark sisters. Her niece, Kierra Sheard, who played her mother's role, Karen Clark Sheard, shared the frustrations of contacting her aunt to no avail. Denise appeared on Facebook in 2019 to share her side of the conflict. She disclosed that she had traveled from the West Coast to Detroit to visit Sister Twinkie, who was having medical issues and was potentially hospitalized. But she wasn't allowed to see her, presumably because her family stopped her, and she asked the digital community for prayers in pulling down the walls of the enemy. Those walls do not look to be coming down anytime soon, as the sisters publicly appear without Denise and barely mention her in interviews. Apart from sibling beef, the Clark sisters' first ever controversy stemmed from the mainstream success of their song, You Brought the Sunshine. It was their first crossover hit, even making its way to New York City's famed Studio 54 nightclub, with the owners pleading with the group to perform live for their partygoers. Despite the song's eventual success, it took almost a year to gain traction because many faith-based organizations and radio stations believed it lacked a gospel foundation. Studio 54 wanted the Clark sisters to perform You Brought the Sunshine in their club because it had become the new rave. They wanted us to come and sing, Dorena Clark Cole once said. The man said, "Ma'am, we will pay you whatever you want. We will give you top dollar if you just please come to the studio," referring to her mother, who worked as their booking agent. But the Clark sisters' mother could never compromise her faith for extra cash. "My mother said, 'Now I ain't gonna have my girls in no studio with y'all dancing,'" Clark Cole recalled with a laugh. You Brought the Sunshine was the group's first taste of bigger-scale success, but the church community was not impressed. Leaders of their home church and churches across the country felt that gospel music should be kept within the genre and not appeal to people in nightclubs or those not affiliated with any religion. The church members questioned the group's true purpose as a gospel group. The Clark sisters disagreed with the opinion of those in the church, believing that their music had the power to touch and spark change worldwide. They believed their music was meant to touch souls and trigger something within that would draw the soul closer to God. Karen Clark Sheard recalled fans coming up to her telling her how much their music helped them. People said, "I was on the dance floor dancing and I heard you all singing Jesus Would Bring the Sunshine. And that helped me because I was going through a difficult time," she remembered. "My sister Twinkie was like, 'Well, this is what we are out here for.'" Undoubtedly, the Christian community can be a strict and tight-knit space. Leaders in the faith make it a point of duty to keep the sheep in the fold strictly in the fold. But with so many people touched by their music, the Clark sisters ignored the grunts of their critics and continued preaching the gospel to anyone willing to listen. It came at a price after their mother performed with them on stage during the 1983 Grammy Awards. She had been forced to never perform with her daughters again or lose her high-ranking position. She continued supporting her girls by going on tour with them and cheering on the sidelines. Another controversy arose long after this, but this time, it wasn't started by the sisters. During one of Wendy Williams' Wednesday shows, the host shaded the iconic gospel group and made crude remarks about their legacy during a discussion about Snoop Dogg's chart-topping album. She asked, "If I were the Clark sisters, would I be mad that Snoop got to #1? Her audience responded with laughter. "The Clark sisters, they've been doing gospel forever. Have they gotten a #1? Oh well, step up your game." The gospel community might not be known for fueling celebrity feuds, but they will throw their hands if you come against their own. They were not pleased with the host's comments about the gospel queens. Kierra Sheard, Kirk Franklin, Michelle Williams, and more ran to the defense of the musicians, who had been making chart-topping songs for decades. Kierra Sheard posted on social media saying, "These women have done more than #1 on the charts. Their lives have matched what they sing about. Somehow they've managed to sing about Jesus in one of the smallest but most effective genres of music, have influenced the masses, and influenced those who influence the masses, not to mention those they've mentored and managed to genuinely pray and show concern for. Be careful who you come for. Not everyone is worth it. This is a different caliber of people. We pray you have peace of mind and successful rest." It was a day filled with excitement when Queen Beyoncé included the Clark sisters' early gospel hit, Center of Thy Will, on her latest album, Renaissance. Clark was thrilled, and in her excitement she gave this speech. "Thank you, Beyoncé, for listening to my music. I hope it blesses your soul," Clark said before affectionately performing a live rendition of the cherished song. Despite this, many social media users criticized Beyoncé for putting the gospel sample in the song Church Girl because the lyrics and music video contained intimately provocative material. People had come on their various blogs to crucify her for not honoring the essence of the original song. But Clark's sister Dorinda Clark Cole was tired of it all. And when she attended the Great Faith Cathedral Kojic in Atlanta, she quickly shifted her attention to the negative things people said about Beyoncé. "You all leave Beyoncé alone," the singer said firmly but affectionately. "As long as she's got something in there, that's all that matters. It's all about being in the center of His will." In that relatively short speech, Clark Cole reminded everyone why music is important, bringing people together, inspiring and encouraging. Occasionally, people forget how it looks and start paying attention to what kind of entity is behind the art. The Clark sisters are a force, a legendary female group, and pace setters. Although their lives are filled with ups and downs, they show the hard work and talent that have brought them where they are today. Their lives are a testament to the fact that life always comes with challenges, and nobody's history is flawless. What can you say about the Clark sisters? Feel free to leave your opinion in the comment section. If you learned anything from this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. You can also explore the other videos displayed on your screen.